So this is how we'll roll with it right now. First, important to note, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week equals 4.2 FTEs. So as we're talking about staffing and budgeting and how many FTEs are required in different areas and different departments, this is just the general rule of thumb. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week equals 4.2 FTEs. FTE is a full-time equivalent. It is not a person. Actually, people can work in different increments of full-time equivalent to equal a total of 4.2. So please keep that in mind, and hopefully that's not too confusing. Another way to look at an FTE is that one FTE equals 2,080 paid hours in a year, in a 12-month period. One FTE equals 2,080 paid hours. So, as we're talking this week and you're going to be doing some reading about budgeting, we're going to try to be figuring out how many FTEs might you need to staff a particular unit. So, again, if you are doing some budgeting work and based on historical volumes or your current projections, you've decided that you need 2 RNs to staff a unit 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. How many FTEs do you need? Remember, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week equals 4.2 FTEs. So what you would just need to do, if you need 2 nurses or 2 people around the clock, you would take 2 times 4.2 FTEs, which would make 8.4 FTEs. So for 2 RNs to staff a 24/7 unit, that requires 8.4 FTEs. I hope that is going to make sense, especially as we're going through this a little bit more. The next part that we need to focus on is our units of service. So there are different units of service, and there will be much in your reading about units of service. But one very general one in an inpatient unit particularly is called hours per patient day. Hours per patient day truly is that measure of sometimes acuity. So for instance, in an intensive care unit, hours per patient day could be 24. They actually could be even more than 24 hours depending on what kind of patient care is being delivered. Hours per patient day is going to equal, and all of this is in your reading, the total paid hours divided by the total number of patient days. So this is where you would need some historical numbers to know how many patient days do you usually see in a year, in a month, in a week, in a day, and the total number of paid hours. So, again, as we're trying to figure out budgeting, if you have an average daily census, which means on average, your unit is taking care of 20 patients, and those patients require 8 care service hours a day of nursing. So this is obviously a low acuity unit or a lower acuity unit with how many, and this just kind of figures into how you figure out the FTEs that you need to staff. You would take those 20 patients and multiply those by 8 hours per patient day, which would give you a grand total of 160 hours of patient care delivery a day for those 20 patients. Then you would take those on 160 hours a day, and you would multiply that for 365 days a year. Again, remember your average daily census is 20, that's over a year. So you take 160 hours times 365 days a year would give you 58,400 hours per year of care that's being provided. How many FTEs do you need though? So to figure out FTEs, you would take that 58,400 hours per year and divide it by 2,080, because one FTE equals 2,080 paid hours every year. So 58,400 hours per year divided by 2,080 would give you 28.07, or in round numbers, 28 FTEs would be needed to staff an ADC of 20 with hours per patient day of 8. There are many factors to take into effect, and we will be discussing a lot of them this week and next week, but just keep these numbers and these figures in mind as we get into the lecture material. Thanks. I'll see you in the discussion, and you've got this.